So today we're going through Exodus chapter 40, and I talked to some people in the first service and well, hold on, you just skipped like 20 chapters, and the answer is yes. We're not skipping it though. We're doing this wonderful thing called summarizing, okay? We're going to summarize those chapters. We go through the Bible together in 3 years in youth group, so we do not read verse by verse through the Bible, but we do want you to understand the general concept. So in most of those chapters, which I encourage you to read on your own, chapters 25 through 31 and then 35 through 40, God is specifically covering the tabernacle, which we're going to talk about today. But if you remember, just a quick recap what we've seen so far in the history of the nation of Israel. God came to the people of Israel when they were trapped in captivity. Egypt had taken them as slaves, and he freed them from their slavery in the beginning of the book of Exodus. Then he freed them from slavery, and he led them across the Red Sea, or I should say through the middle of the Red Sea when he parted the Red Sea for them, and saved them from the Egyptians that were chasing after them. Then they are wandering in the desert, and God provides food for them. He provides water. He protects them from their enemies. And then in chapter 20, as we've been discussing for quite some time, we talked about the 10 Commandments, how God gave them 10 commandments. And you can summarize the 10 commandments in just these 2 commandments: love God and love people. God is saying, if you're going to be my people, then you need to live a life that reflects my nature and my holiness. And that life looks something like this. And so he gave them the 10 commandments so that they would know what is expected of them and what God calls them to do in holy living. Of course, they will not be perfect in following that, and we'll get into that next week in the sacrificial system. But today we're going to talk about the tabernacle. God gives the people instruction, and he said, look, you are going to build a temporary place of worship, and I want you to build it. And he gives very, very, very detailed instruction on how to build it. He measures out, this is how far apart I want various things. This is the material that I want the curtains of this place of worship to be built of. And so I have a picture here I want to show you of what the tabernacle looks like. So here's a diagram of what the tabernacle would look like. Again, this is a temporary, movable place of worship. It's actually made up of, it's almost like a tent. And so what you'll see here first is you'll see the outsides of the tabernacle. It's got these pillars or posts that are put into the ground. And then there is like a canvas, like you would see for a tent that is stretched across around the entire perimeter. Then you have your entrance. And as you enter in, there is an altar where they would offer sacrifices. As I said, we'll get into that next week. Then you have a place, a basin for them to wash their hands and wash themselves. Then you go to this bigger tent that is in the middle of this perimeter. And this place is the holy place. As you enter into that through the curtain, you'd see a table with showbread, which was this bread that the priest could partake of. Then you have a candlestick, a very large golden one. You have a golden altar, and then you have the Ark of the Covenant behind a curtain. There's a massive curtain that separated the rest of the room from the Ark of the Covenant. And the Ark of the Covenant, if you've seen pictures of it, it is a box that is painted gold, and in the middle or inside of it was the 10 Commandments. They placed the 10 Commandments into the Ark of the Covenant. And so God instructs them exactly on the dimensions and the structure and the materials. And so what we see through all those chapters that we're summarizing is this. God is very specific in saying, this is the place and the way in which I want you to worship me. And the Israelites are very diligent and obedient in building this. They have master craftsmen create the wood for the woodworking that you see. They have people sew together all of the canvas that is necessary or the curtains that are necessary. They have people that construct the candlestick or construct the altar or construct the basin where the water is kept for washing. All of these things are meticulously put together and built. And then in chapter 40, the last chapter in the book of Exodus, we're going to see Moses dedicating this, and we're going to see God's presence come and rest in the tabernacle. So read along with me here. I'm going to read a little bit of this summary of what the Lord instructs Moses to do. And he basically walks us through the design. The building is finished, and they're just setting the final things into place. So read with me here. Chapter 40, verse 1, it says this. Then the Lord said to Moses, set up the tabernacle on the first day of the new year. Place the Ark of the Covenant inside, and install the inner curtain to enclose the Ark within the most holy place. Then bring in the table and arrange the utensils on it, and bring in the lampstand and set up the lamps. Place the gold incense altar in front of the Ark of the Covenant. Then hang the curtain at the entrance of the tabernacle. Place the altar of burnt offerings in front of the tabernacle entrance, and set the wash basin between the tabernacle and the altar, and fill it with water. Then set up the courtyard around the outside of the tent, and hang the curtain for the courtyard entrance. So God starts in the inner Holy of Holies, and he says, set up the Ark of the Covenant in there. And then set up a curtain, and then set up the golden altar and the table and the candlestick. And he's working his way out. And then set up the curtain entering into the main tent, and then the basin, and then the altar, and then a curtain to separate it from the outside. So you see him explaining to Moses, hey, get everything settled and in place. And then down here in verse 12, he says, present Aaron and his sons at the entrance of the tabernacle. Have them wash with water, dress Aaron with the sacred garments, and anoint him, consecrating him to serve as priest. So then they gather all of the priests who are going to work in the tabernacle, the outside, and they give them special clothes to wear that are very finely made and beautiful. And they have this on the outside, and they dedicate the workers who are going to work inside of the tabernacle. So all this to say, there is a lot that goes into this process of constructing and building this tabernacle. And one of the cool things is, this is a portable place of worship. This is all made of tents, this is all made of posts, and this is something that is very movable. So when the Israelites would move to camp somewhere else, they would literally pull the stakes up, roll up all the tarps, collect everything that was here, and move it to a new place to camp. And then they would set it up again. And this is true, too, of churches today. Now, our church is a set building on land, the same place this is built. But before we were here, did you guys actually know, if you went to Simpson Middle School or go there now, we used to meet in Simpson Middle School. We met there on Sundays. We would set up the stage to get ready for service, and we would have church there at Simpson Middle School. Even though it technically isn't a church on Sundays, it was a church, and it was our church. And if you go to Simpson Middle School, I just want to say I'm sorry, because it is very dark and dingy. They need more windows at Simpson Middle School, okay? Because it is just a dungeon of a place. If you've been there before, you understand. Of all the schools I've been to in Loudoun County, and I've been to all of them, they have the fewest windows, and it is terrifying, okay? So I don't know why I said that. That was just a tangent to complain about lack of windows. Anyway, moving on, back to this. So we have the tabernacle built, and it is a portable thing, and God lays out these dimensions. Then I want you to read with me here the end of the chapter. Read verse 34. It says this. Then the cloud covered the tabernacle, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses could no longer enter the tabernacle because the cloud had settled down over it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Now, whenever the cloud lifted from the tabernacle, the people of the Lord set out on their journey following it. But if the cloud did not rise, they remained where they were until it lifted. The cloud of the Lord hovered over the tabernacle during the day, and at night fire glowed inside the cloud so that the whole family of Israel could see it, and they continued throughout their journeys. So that's the end of the chapter here, and it ends with this. After they have meticulously built what God instructs, after they have created all of this and set it into place and dedicated it and dedicated themselves, then the Bible says that God's presence comes and it rests over the Ark of the Covenant. That God shows his presence, that he is with his people. So much so that during the day, a cloud is over this area to show that God's presence is there. And then at night, a pillar of fire is there to show that God is with his people. Now you might be saying this, maybe like, well, Barrett, I thought God is everywhere all at once. I thought he's omnipresent. And you would be right. He is everywhere. And he is everywhere at once. And he is present. And so it is true. But here's what's happening here. God is showing his presence and demonstrating his presence in a more tangible, even visible way for the people to see. You see, God is always with us, but there are moments that we become more aware of his presence, more aware that he is with us. Maybe in a time of worship or in a time of stillness or in nature, you become aware, wow, God is here. And the reality is he's always been there, but you're just becoming aware of him. And so God is making himself more aware and present to the people where they see him in a more manifested physical way. And it's a beautiful thing. And they can sense his presence, but also see his presence, that God is with them. And this is also interesting to note. Go to the next picture, Ethan. Where the tabernacle would be is right in the center of where the Israelites camped. So the Israelites would first, when they moved to an area, they would first set up the tabernacle, set everything up. Then they would set up their personal tents. You got some goats right here. They're hanging out. You got Steve over there making a fire. You got everybody present here. But first thing they do when they arrive somewhere, let's set up God's place of worship. Let's set up our tabernacle first. And then we will camp around that place. There's an intentionality in all of this. There's an attention to detail. There's an attention to say we're going to be attentive to even how far out we measure every bit of this or what material we use. We're going to be sacrificial in giving some of our gold and some of our materials to build this. We're going to give of our time, use our skills, all to construct this place of worship right in the center of our camp. And we are literally going to build our camp, our nation, even their lives around God in the center of it. And so what I want our takeaway today to be is this, and what we're going to talk about today is this. Just like the Israelites, were very intentional and sacrificial with their time, with their resources, and making a place for God's presence to dwell, for him to be in their camp, in the center of their lives. So too, we should do the same. We need to prepare a place in our hearts and in our lives for God. Very intentionally, very even sacrificially, to say, God, I want you to live in the center of my camp, in the center of my life, in the center of my body. I want you to live with me, and I want you to be the center of my life that I build everything else around as my foundation. So let's talk about how we can do that. So each week, I try to spend intentional time with each of the members of my family. So first member of my family is Catherine. She's my wife. And then I got my son, Judah, and then I got my daughter, Talia. So every Sunday after church, we go home, my wife and I and kids, and we put the kids down for a nap. And then what we do is we do something called planning the week. And we get out our calendars. We got out like a matching iCalendar schedule, and we make our calendar for the week. And one of the first things that we do is we say, all right, Thursday night's date night. Thursday night is our night. This is a time just for the two of us. We're going to get a babysitter. We're going to have somebody watch the kids. And we are going to go out and we are going to spend time together. We're going to catch up on our week or how things are going. We're going to spend time together. Things we've done on date nights. What have we done, babe? We've gone and caught frogs on date night. That was fun. It didn't sound fun, but it actually was a lot of fun. We have gone to coffee shops and worked on things, which doesn't sound fun, but it was also fun. We've gone to Aldi's. We went to Aldi's last date night. That was fun. And we just shopped, which doesn't, again, sound fun. It's fun because it's with her, okay? And so we do a lot of fun things on our date nights. We go out to nice meals. We go to movies. But the idea is we are going to spend time together, and we're going to build our week, if you will, around time with one another. Our relationship is important enough to dedicate time, even to dedicate some money to spending time together and growing closer together. And then we try to have time with our kids. Friday mornings, at least right now it's Friday mornings, is my time with the kids. So Catherine will have some downtime, and then I will wake up and I'll watch the kids in the morning. I'll change their diapers. I'll hang out with them. And then what we do is we also I try to have time with just one of them. So maybe I'll stagger it so Talia goes to sleep, my daughter, and then Judah and I have guy time. And what time with Judah is simply this, okay? Talia goes to bed and Judah knows, sister's asleep. Mom's not here. We are going to fight. And so we wrestle. That is like our time. You guys are like, what? You fight yourself? Oh, I fight my son, okay? Oh, we wrestle real good, okay? We fight real good. My son will get on the couch and he'll jump off, and he doesn't understand that I'm not actually trying, okay? And so he tries with all of his might, and I'm going to tell you, one day I'm going to come into church and I'm going to have a black eye, and it'll be like, that was my son. Like, he just throws elbows. He's learned to not bite. I did make him not bite. But he'll like jump off the couch and throw his knees into your ribs and try and break them. We have a great time, but that's like our guy time. Like we wrestle. It's our time together. And then maybe Tally will wake up, Judah will go down for a nap, and then it's like sister, or not sister, it's like daughter-father time. And so right now what we do for that time is usually just walk, because she's trying to learn to walk. So I'll hold her hands, and she'll be like, da. And she's like, it's like if you grab your dog by its front legs and it just pretends to walk on it. That's what it's like right now, okay? They kind of just move, not even touching the ground. And she's learning to walk, and that's just her thing. And sometimes I'll set her up, and I'm like, come to dad. And she'll be like, And she hangs her tongue out when she walks. It's like, I don't know why. It's like Michael Jordan dunking a basketball. I don't know. Anyway, but that's our time. And so the idea is these are my family members, and I want to set aside time to be intentional, to connect with them, to get close to them. And this is our time, and it's sacred. It's special. It's set apart. And the same should be done with our relationship with God. To say, on Sundays, this is our time with God. And we're doing that together. You set aside time on Sundays to be here. We open up this book, this Bible, and we spend time with God learning about His commandments, learning about what He has done for us, or what He has done in the past, or what He will do in the future. We're getting to know who God is through our time of teaching. We do the same during worship. We spend time with God in worship, spending time seeking His face and His presence in a more tangible way, and getting to know Him in a deeper way. So we are prioritizing our time with God, and that's why Sundays are set apart. That's why we don't work on Sundays. It's the idea that we're spending time with God, and we're Sabbathing, as the fourth commandment says. But you might also, and I challenge you to, set time apart during your week to spend time with God. At camp, if you come to camp with us, we have something called TOG, which is time alone with God. Every camp we've had at Cornerstone that I remember, we've always done TOG. And the idea is we're going to take 30 minutes out of our day. And those 30 minutes are for you and for God. It's your relationship with Him. Some people with their time alone with God will just go for a walk. And they'll just walk with the Lord and spend time with Him. Some people will open their Bibles and read. Some people will pray. Some people will listen to worship music. But the idea is, whatever you're going to do, you're going to spend that time with God, not with other people. That's why we say time alone with God, alone with God. It's to prioritize that. I don't bring my kids on date night, because then it's just family time. It's not date night, right? Date night is just the two of us. And it's this idea of I'm with God and it's just the two of us. And you can do that not just at camp, but on your own. Here's something I did when I was a kid and I was trying to learn to spend time with the Lord. I would always forget. I'd get into bed and I'd be going to sleep and I'm like, oh, I forgot to spend time with God. I'd always forget. So here's what I'd do. In the morning when I woke up, I don't know if your parents made you make the bed, but my parents made me make the bed. So that happened. I'd make the bed, and then I would take my Bible and I would set it on my pillow. So then before I went to bed, I'd be like, oh, why is a Bible on my pillow? Oh, I'm supposed to read my Bible. And so I'd get my Bible, I'd read 5 minutes before I go to bed, I'd say a prayer, and then I would go to sleep. And it built this habit in me to spend just 5 minutes every day with God, reading my Bible and praying. It just built this habit, because it's hard to prioritize at times our time. It's hard to prioritize our attention, but you do it every day just with other things. Maybe you prioritize time for a video game that you love. Maybe you prioritize your money. You collect all the money that you can get. You work for it. You get that money together, and you're like, I'm going to go buy this video game because I care enough to invest my money into it. Or maybe you have friends that you want to play that video game with, and so you schedule a time in the week. This is my time. I can't do chores then, or I don't want to do any homework then. This is my time to play video games with my friends, and you're prioritizing. You're setting that time apart to be with those friends and to play that game. You're giving your attention to it. And again, that's not a bad thing. You probably give some of your time and energy every week to math, okay? Probably to science. And then in the summer, you're given 3 months to set aside to not do those things, okay? Hopefully. You set that time aside. Hey, this is a time to rest from my work, to take a break from school. But the idea is we schedule our time and set time and money and attention aside for things that we care about or people that we care about. And we need to do the same with Jesus. Set time apart to focus on Jesus, to know him in a better way, to learn more about him, to study our Bibles the way you might study a test or a textbook for a test, to focus our attention on him like you would having a conversation with someone. You don't want to be distracted and looking elsewhere. You focus on him. And so I challenge you to think about what are the habits or what are the things I can put in place to spend more time with God. Let me give you another one I used to do. One I used to do is when I was in college, I wanted a place that was like my place with God. So what I would do is it was hard on campus to get alone with God because I got a roommate, I got a bunch of dudes in my hall, they're knocking on my door. So I'd hop in my car at Liberty University. I would drive into this place called The Pit, which was this big parking lot. I'd drive all the way to the back of the parking lot where it was empty, and I'd park my car, and I'd pop the trunk open. And I had this like old hatchback, I don't know if you've seen those, where there's a seat facing like the trunk area. And so when I popped the trunk, I was basically sitting in like a porch almost. I'd sit in that and I'd look out, and then I would read my Bible and pray and spend time with God right there. That was my spot in the trunk of my car, which is kind of funny. The more you think about it, like, wow, my special place for the Lord was the trunk of my car. But it was, and that's where I would spend time with God at college. Then I got back from college, and at my parents' house, my place with the Lord was actually my closet. I had a really big closet. I didn't use all of it because I didn't have a lot. I didn't fill it, at least with clothes. And so I had a section of it that I dedicated. I'm like, this is where I'm going to spend time with God. So I would write prayer requests on the walls or stick sticky notes in the wall. And that was where I'd spend time with the Lord. And it was special to me. It was my place with the Lord. This is my time with the Lord. If I'm in the closet, I don't bring my phone in here. I don't want to be distracted. This is just my Bible, maybe a pen, and then maybe I might play some music or just spend some time with the Lord. And it was sacred, like I said. And so I challenge you to figure something out for you that works. Maybe it's reading right before bed. Maybe it's putting your Bible right next to your toothbrush. So when you brush your teeth in the morning, you're like, oh, yeah, my Bible, I got to do that. Well, I guess you didn't understand what I said. But the idea is I got to read my Bible after I brush my teeth, and that's your thing. You do it every morning, just 5 minutes. But build into your life the intentionality of God at the center. Just like the Israelites, they have the tabernacle in the center of where they live, right in the middle of their camp, and they build their camp around it. We need to put God in the center of our lives and then build our lives around him as the foundation and set that time apart or that place apart in our hearts for him. And when you do that, the rest of your life is affected in a positive way. Remember, somebody raised their hand and tell me, what is the thing that they placed in the Ark of the Covenant? Do you remember what they placed in there? What did they place in there? They placed the 10 Commandments in there. It is this idea that God's laws and what God asks me to do, the way in which he asks me to live, that is in the center of my life. And then everything else is built around that. They're building their lives around the presence of God and the commands of God. And they want to focus on that. And so might we do the same? We memorized the 10 Commandments, and you guys did a wonderful job memorizing those. But it's this idea that don't just memorize them and have them in your head, but also have them in your heart. Have them in your life. Be living those commandments out on a day-to-day basis. And so let's set God up. And I love this idea. I'll end with this. I love this idea that wherever they went, they took the tabernacle with them. God went with them wherever they went. Remember that God goes wherever you go. He goes wherever you go, and he moves with you. He is present beside you in every time and every trial. Let's pray. Lord, I pray that we make you the center of our lives. I thank you so much for your intentionality with us and your love for us that you showed us your son Jesus. And I thank you that you've given us a place to worship, like this church. But you've also allowed us to worship you anywhere, to spend time with you anywhere, not just here. And I thank you so much for the gift it is to be present with you and live life with you. We love you, God. It's the name of your son Jesus that we pray. Everybody said, amen. All right, guys, don't leave just yet. I'll let you know when you're free to go. If you got any questions, come up here. Also, if you completed the Proverbs challenge, you have candy that we would love to give to you, I should say. So come to me or Rachel. We'd love to give you that candy.